Good evening and welcome to the Nillumbik Shire Council meeting for the 25th of November 2025. Good to see so many people here today. I'll just make members of the public are advised that the meeting will be live streamed and recorded, and the live stream recording will be made public available on YouTube and on the Council's website. Also, I'd like to acknowledge that the Nillumbik Shire Council respectfully acknowledges the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung as the traditional owners of the land on which Nillumbik is located, and we pay tribute to all First Peoples living in the Shire, give respect to Elders past, present and emerging, and we also extend that respect to all First Nations people, and we acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. I'd now like to call on Councillor Mackay to read out the Good Governance Pledge.
As councillors, we are mindful of our civic responsibilities and obligations. We pledge to take them seriously and to carry them out with diligence and integrity. We know the decisions we take will affect the people and environment of Nillumbik now and in the future. We undertake, therefore, to make sound and principled decisions of lasting value in a spirit of fairness and the good of all. We also pledge to serve the needs and well-being of the community and the environment in an open and honest manner and to the best of our abilities.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay. We'll now move on to the prayer, and today we've got Pastor Mel Abrazeldo with us, who's the senior pastor at the Joy of Life Church, and has been so for 13 years. Joy of Life is in Craigieburn, and members are from various cultures, backgrounds and nationalities. United by their faith and love of Jesus Christ as Saviour and Lord, the Joy of Life Church is a member of the Australian Christian Churches and committed to helping people build Christ-centred lives, strong and healthy relationships with individually and within their family, by conducting Bible-based Christian education through Sunday school, care groups and meetings. Helping couples build and foster healthy, strong marriages through marriage courses, together with men, women and women's fellowship groups, and helping young people find, value and discover their full potential, gifts and talents to fulfil their God-given purpose and to become world changers in the future. Joy of Life Church also partners with local charities and groups to support local needs for activity and involved in community-based activities, festivals such as the Filipino Fiesta, the Wandong Christmas carols and feeding the local homeless people. So, Pastor Mel.
Good evening, and thank you for having me here today. It's my second time, and I appreciate that prayer is part of this council meeting. And just again, as the scripture says that many are the plans of men, but the will of God will prevail. So our prayer is to ask God that the plans and the desires of the community through the leadership of the council, that it will be aligned with God's will. So allow me to read this prayer as we bow down our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time and the privilege to come into your throne of grace. Gathered before you today are the council members and leaders and some members of the public of Nillumbik community. Giving you thanks for the opportunity to serve this beautiful community and for the trust placed in them as servant leaders. I acknowledge your presence among them and seek your guidance as they embark on the important work before them. May this meeting tonight be a reflection of their shared commitment to justice, fairness, and the well-being of all those they represent. God, grant them wisdom to discern what is right and courage to act with integrity. Help them to approach every discussion with open minds and compassionate hearts, setting aside personal biases and focusing on the greater good. May their words be thoughtful, their decisions be just, and their actions reflect the values of service and unity. Lord, I pray that you also grant each one the humility to recognize that they serve not for personal gain, but for the well-being of their community. May they exemplify the spirit of servant leadership in all they do. I pray that they may uphold the highest standards of integrity and honesty in their roles. I ask for your blessing upon each person here today. Strengthen each one with patience and understanding, especially in moments of disagreements. Remove any confusion or misunderstandings that may hinder their progress. Grant them the ability to communicate effectively and to comprehend one another's perspectives. Remind them that diversity of thought is a strength, and guide them to find common ground that benefits all. Lord God, I also lift up to you Nollimbic community and its people. I pray that you bless those who this council serves, especially those who are struggling or in need. May the decisions the council make tonight bring hope, healing, and progress to all. I pray that there will be a great harmony, honor, and respect between the people of Nillumbik community and its leaders. And finally, as Proverbs 16:3 says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. Lord God, I commit this meeting to you. Establish their plans and guide them towards a successful outcome. May your divine intervention be evident in every decision they make. May your peace fill this room, your guidance to guide their deliberations, and your love to inspire their actions. May everything they do here tonight bring honor to you and serve the people entrusted to their care. As I give you back all the glory and honor and praise and thanksgiving, in Jesus' mighty name I pray. And everyone said, amen and amen. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Pastor Mel. We will now move on to apologies and leaves of absence, as there are none. Does anyone have a declaration of a conflict of interest? We don't. We'll move on to presentations. I'd just like to put out a condolence to former Councillor Bronnie Haddam on the passing of her father, Brian Ellis, a distinguished emeritus professor in philosophy and valued member of the Eltham community, lectured at both La Trobe and Melbourne University. Our condolences go out to Bronnie and her family. Councillor Brooker, did you have something you wanted to share with us?
I did. I wanted to make an acknowledgement of Brendan Smith of Yarrambat. On the 12th of October, the Vice President, Paul Ferrin, of the Royal Historical Society of Victoria, presented Brendan, the co-founder of the Historical Society. He's been there for more than 30 years, an award. The presentation coincided with the Yarrambat Historical Society's Open Day, which had the old Gold Battery operating, wool spinners, sheep shearing demonstration in the old wool shed, the original Yarrambat Primary School, vintage display vehicles, things of that type. The highlight was 2 historical speeches about the local area by 2 grade 6 primary school students, and indicative that Brendan initiated more than 3 decades ago, that speech making. As one of the students noted, Yarrambat was the name chosen by locals nearly 100 years ago, adopting the Aboriginal word for high hills or pleasant views. That was their acknowledgement of the traditional owners of their country, the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people, part of the Kulin Nation. So, that acknowledgement to Brendan Smith from Yarrambat Historical for those many years of service to the community. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. We have one sporting and cultural achievement grant, so if I could ask Caleb Rogers to come up to the front here, Caleb, and I'll move over to the podium. So we're very proud to have Caleb here today with us. Caleb Rogers from the Wingrove Ward receives $200 for being selected to represent Victoria in the National Lacrosse Tournament in Western Australia. Caleb is a member of the Eltham Lacrosse Club, where he's played across both the under-15s and under-16s this season. And the under-15s reached the preliminary finals, and the under-16s won the grand final. After successfully completing 3 competitive tryout sessions, Caleb was selected to represent the Northern Warriors in the state team for under-15. Caleb attends Montmorency Secondary College and he's also represented the school in lacrosse, and they won the school state championships in 2024. Having played lacrosse since he was old enough to join the lacrosse club, Caleb loves of the game runs deep. His father, who coaches the Eltham Lacrosse Club, has also played and is a strong influence on his sporting journey. Caleb's passion for lacrosse is evident in his dedication, training 4 times a week and competing in 1 or 2 games each week. So we congratulate Caleb on his success and we'll just present you with this certificate. Okay, a man, a few words. Obviously, just on the court, but congratulations, and very proud to have him as a member of Wingrove Ward. Okay. We will now move on to, we'll move on to confirmation of the minutes for the council meeting of Tuesday the 28th of October 2025. Do I have a mover?
Yes, thanks, Mayor.
Councillor Joyner.
I move the motion as per the papers.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Yes, please, Mayor.
Councillor Cope. Do you have anything you'd like to say, Councillor Cope? Any other councillors have anything they'd like to say? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll move on to petitions. Do we have any petitions?
We do.
Councillor Joy?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to move that Council receives and notes the Stop the BMX Park in the Challenger Street Reserve petition, requesting Nillumbik Shire Council not proceed with building the BMX jumps and recreation park at Challenger Street Reserve location in Diamond Creek, and that's an amendment. There was an error in the papers, in accordance with the Governance Rule meeting procedure, and to refer this petition to the Acting Chief Operating Officer for investigation and response, and also note that officers will advise the petition organiser of the outcome.
Do we have a seconder for that motion?
Yes, thanks.
Councillor Joyner. Councillor Joy, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, I'll just, I thought I'd just read out the main content of the petition, just for the record. So the petition, the report says that the petition contains 305 signatures. I've checked it again this evening and there's actually 325. So the petition contained the following statement. The Nillumbik Shire Council have endorsed the Challenger Street Reserve as the location for its BMX jumps and recreation park. There has been no consultation with local residents or stakeholders on the direct impact to them. The Challenger Street Reserve is home to bird wetlands and native animals. It is a green space that is utilised by local bushwalkers, cyclists, dog walkers, horse riders, the Diamond Creek Park runners, families and people enjoying time in the outdoors. We do not oppose the idea of a BMX park, rather we strongly oppose the location. with an exclamation point. We strongly oppose the location. The Shire Council have failed in their duty to consult with the local community, nor have they acted with transparency or integrity by providing any information on the environmental impact of the park or how it will align with the Green Wedge ethos. They have shared no details on how noise, traffic or lighting will be minimised for local residents whose properties overlook the site, nor have they outlined how the environmental destruction and disruption will be offset both during the construction of and the life cycle of this park. We, local residents and members of the broader community who regularly use and enjoy this space, demand that Nillumbik Shire Council do not proceed with this location. Do not build the BMX jumps and recreation park in the Challenger Street Reserve. So that's verbatim from the petition. I believe that's been taken from the website where the petition is, and it is printed in the reports that are available on our public website.
Thanks, Councillor Joy. Councillor Joyner, do you wish to speak?
Yes, thanks. I'd just like to say I appreciate this particular group submitting the petition, coming to the Planning and Consultation Committee meeting to express their views and now taking the time to submit questions to Council. Thank you for taking the time for us to hear and consider what your views are on the project.
Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Perkins.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it's a big petition. 305 people signed this petition. That's what's in the report. I understand there's a few more on the website, Councillor Joy, but 305 is the number that is in the council report. So I've had a look at those numbers, and importantly, the vast majority came from Australia, the petitioners. We also had a few from other places, including Spain, Sweden, UK, Hungary and Italy, but majority from Australia, which is great to see. Majority from Diamond Creek? No, 89%, not from Diamond Creek. You know, only 34 petitioners out of that 305 that we were advised of, 34 came from Diamond Creek. So you'd sort of think, oh, there must be a greater representation from the Shire. And indeed there was. 46 from the Shire. So of the 305, we had 46 petitioners from the Shire, or 15.1%. So it's important to look at where petitioners come from and what their interests are. This was a petition that was on the website, so of course we attract signatures from all around the world, but most from Australia, which is great. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to questions from the gallery. And we'll start off with a question from former Councillor Natalie Duffy. So welcome back, Natalie. I'd like to thank Council for the car park extension undertaken at Eltham North Reserve this year, which provides an additional 70 car parks, and ask when will the landscaping start to replace the 49 trees that I counted, and the understory vegetation that was removed to accommodate the works, as landscaping was listed in the project deliverables due for completion in October 2025. And the response is a total of 37 trees were removed for this project, and the replacement trees will be planted around the car park in April to May of 2026 when it's optimal planting season, based on special advice, and this is much more appropriate than planting in the hotter months. Question 2, will the landscaping plans at Eltham North Reserve car parking expansion project be made available to the community to view, and the community feedback by interested local residents and precinct stakeholders? Landscaping plans will be made publicly available on the council website for public viewing closer to the time of planting. Thanks for the questions. Angela Grafone presented the following questions relating to site selection according to Nillumbik Shire Council minutes 27th of May, BMX dirt bike jumps and community park. Full public consultation would again be required as a new location and there are residential properties overlooking the site. How has full consultation been delivered on a site with regards to residential properties overlooking the site? Full consultation on this project is not yet complete. Council's recent community consultation focused on specific elements of the proposed park. This information was used to finalise preliminary design to support planning permit applications for next year. The planning permit application will include Council advertising the project to the community where they'll be invited to make submissions, a written objection or a letter of support on the more detailed proposal. Question 2. Relating to bush and residential fire risk, what specific emergency access provisions have been assessed by the CFA regarding the risk in the reserve bordered by dense vegetation and a single vehicle entry point? As the proposal is currently in the preliminary design stages, provision of CFA requirements has not been established or determined, and suffice it to say, the proposal provides an opportunity for improved access for the CFA. Should the project proceed, the CFA will be consulted at a later stage of the project. Jacinda Brown submitted the following question. Challenger Reserve is subject to ESO, identifies the site as a faunal habitat of significance. It protects and enhances regional and strategic habitat links, including a site of faunal and habitat significance. It is one of 3 sites marked as a critical conservation area alongside Plenty Gorge, the Eltham Copper Butterfly Reserve, reference the NEROC report of 97. How does choosing Challenger Reserve with an ESO ensure minimal environmental impact stated on the Nillumbik Shire Council website? BMX Park rolls into a new location, published on the 3rd of the 6th, 2025. The proposed envelope of the BMX Park is open grassland and as a number of canopy trees. The proposal seeks to retain all canopy trees. An ecology report will provide recommendations to ensure proposal responds appropriately to the objectives of the significant environmental significance overlay. The matter will be considered and assessed at detailed design and future planning applications stages of the project. Question 2. On page 13 of the Council Plan, under Responsible Governance and Community Leadership, we strengthen governance and community leadership to ensure transparent, inclusive decision-making processes that engage all residents, build trust and create sustainable solutions for Nillumbik's future. When choosing an appropriate site, why were local residents who will be impacted by this plan not engaged in a transparent, inclusive decision-making process? The response, full public consultation for this project is not yet complete. Council's recent community consultation process focused on specific elements of the proposed park. This information will be used to finalise preliminary design to support a planning application next year. The planning permit application will include council advertising the project where community will be invited to make submissions, a written objection or a letter of support on more detailed proposals. Matthew Atwell has submitted the following question. Vehicle entrance to the proposed Diamond Creek Recreational Precinct, BMX Park. Plan is subject to LSIO, CHMP, ESO1, HO, BPA and BMO and TPZ. How is Nillumbik Shire Council going to meet the requirements of these multiple layers? Council is aware of the vehicle entrance constraints identified by the Nillumbik Planning Scheme, and they will be confirmed, considered and assessed as part of the detailed design and planning permit application. Diamond Creek Community Recreation, it's question 2. Diamond Creek Community Recreation Park Growing Suburbs Fund project map clearly shows full scope of the facilities required for the grant. The concept plans used to promote the projects on the Nillumbik Shire Council website and social media did not show full scope of the works. How does promotion of a project align with the statement in the Nillumbik Shire Council plan under responsible governance and community leadership? We strengthen governance and community leadership to ensure transparent, inclusive decision-making processes that engage all residents, build trust and create sustainable solutions for Nillumbik's future. During the entirety of the community consultation period, 1st of October to the 26th of October 2025, the correct and most current information was available on the Participate Nillumbik platform and the primary site for all consultation, advertising and council communication referred respondents. Council acknowledges there was a period where an older image showing the previous Allendale Road location were visible on separate sections of the Nillumbik Council website. Once identified, it was promptly corrected. Steve Frost submitted the following question. Nillumbik Shire Council has commented on the new site and must be in close proximity to the original site. What evidence does Nillumbik have to support this requirement? The initial planning of the project and subsequent grant application was in response to removal of informal community-built jumps nearby. To ensure the project continued to respond to this, the following criteria was used to assess potential sites: located within Diamond Creek, close to existing informal community-built jumps. Only one council-owned and managed site met all 4 criteria. As a result, at the May 2025 council meeting, council endorsed Challenger Reserve as the new location for the jumps. How can Nillumbik Shire say they've conducted comprehensive community consultation when publishing inaccurate plans on the website throughout most of the feedback survey conducted in 2025? During the entirety of the community consultation period, 1st of October to the 26th of October 2025, the correct and most current information was available on Participate Nillumbik platforms. This is the primary site for all consultation and advertising, and the council communication referred respondents. Council acknowledges there was a period where an older image was showing all the previous Allendale Road location were visible on separate section of the Nillumbik Council website. Once identified, it was promptly corrected. Christopher Collins submitted the following question. Preamble. It is a matter of historical fact that the current location of the Diamond Creek at the Challenger Street Reserve is not its original location. During earlier stages of gold mining in the area, the creek bed was moved some metres to bring the flow closer to the head of the mine shaft that is located on the north bank of the creek adjacent to the railway bridge. The original site of the creek brings the proposed BMX park jump within the Aboriginal overlay of the Diamond Creek path, so a cultural heritage review is mandatory. My question is, have the traditional owners, the Wurundjeri people, been consulted and advised of these locations? In determining if a cultural heritage management plan is required for this project, Council refers to the Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Register and Information System, an online portal that indicates areas within 200 metres of the existing identified waterway. Council is not made aware of previously, or can it confirm that the creek ran a different course? However, the 200 metre buffer from the waterway is generally applied to capture any historical changes in the watercourse. The proposed location of works are to be undertaken outside of this 200 metre buffer. Therefore, the new location did not trigger the need for a CHMP. The project is therefore not consulted with the Wurundjeri Corporation. Question 2. Australia is a signatory to a number of international agreements to protect migratory birds and their habitats. 2 of these agreements are between China and Australia, the CAMBA, and Japan and Australia, the JAMBA. One of these birds is the Latham snipe, Gallinago harwicki. The Latham snipe is a regular visitor to the Challenger Street wetlands, where they feed during non-breeding season. Over the last 30 years, I have sighted these birds regularly during the spring and summer. They are a singular bird, but the population can be quite significant, particularly during years of high rainfall. I was formerly the COO of the Field and Game Association, and I'm fully aware of Australia's obligation under the EPBC Act. My question is to Nillumbik Shire Council is what action is being taken by the Nillumbik Shire Council in order to ensure they are fully compliant with regards to the protection of these listed vulnerable migratory birds. The proposed BMX park jumps is open grassland with a number of canopy trees. The proposal seeks to retain canopy trees. An ecology report will provide recommendations to ensure the proposal responds appropriately to objectives of the environment significant overlay. These matters will be considered and assessed at a detailed design at future planning applications stages of the project. Jason Morrison has submitted the following question. The financial impost on ratepayers has the council considered, what financial impost on ratepayers has council considered for the ongoing maintenance and upkeep of the BMX facilities post-construction? The total cost for annual maintenance is yet to be determined. Key design factors which were the focus of community consultation include BMX track surface types, and they need to be determined first. It is expected that the maintenance and upkeep will be minimal in the initial years post-construction, and subsequent years many maintenance and upkeep costs will be budgeted for through the annual operating budget alongside all other new and existing council assets. Question 2. As an existing environmental overlay will impact the ability to bitumen around sugar gum at the entrance of the BMX park, and what is the financial impact of the options that has council... What is the financial impact of the options council has considered to provide access to the requirements of emergency vehicles when injured riders require treatment? Council is aware that the vehicle entrance has constraints and as identified by Nillumbik's planning scheme, and they may be confirmed, considered and assessed as part of the detailed design and a planning permit application. Rebecca Bosch provided the next question. The online feedback survey was for questions associated with the BMX site and its use. There was no questions about whether or not community members wanted the BMX site. The pin locator was in the wrong location, still being positioned at Allendale Reserve for most of the duration of the survey. What is the validity of the survey when considering transparent, inclusive decision-making process? During the entirety of the community consultation period, 1st of October to the 26th of October 2025, The correct and most current information was available on the Participate Nillumbik platform. This is the primary site for all consultation, advertising and council communications referred to respondents. Council acknowledges there was a period where an older image showing the previous Allendale Road location were visible on a separate section of the council website. Once identified, it was promptly corrected. Question 2. To build the BMX facility at Challenger Street Reserve is not the establishment of a new facility on an empty space. In fact, it's a deliberate destruction of a treasured community asset, the nature reserve. There's no evidence that council has considered the resultant loss to the community. In selecting this site, can council release the site selection criteria, the scoring matrix and the decision-making process used to select the location over others? Following issues with the original project location at 145 Allendale Road, council officers assessed all alternative locations against key requirements to ensure that all projects still respond to the removal of nearby informal community-built jumps, and the criteria for site selection included located in Diamond Creek, close to existing informal community-built jumps. In response to lessons learned from planning works completed at the original project location, the following site selection criteria was added. Outside the 1 in 100 year floodplain, Melbourne water requirement, outside the 200 metre cultural heritage sensitivity buffer to avoid the need for a cultural heritage management plan. Only one council owned and managed site met all 4 criteria. As a result, at the May Council meeting, Council endorsed Challenger Street Reserve as the new location for the BMX park. The proposed envelope of the BMX park is on open grassland with a number of canopy trees. The proposal seeks to retain all canopy trees. Ecology report will provide recommendations to ensure the proposal responds appropriately to the objectives of the environmental significance overlay. These matters will be considered and assessed at the detailed design and future planning applications stages of the project. Marcus Bosch submitted the next question. This consultation process has been conducted only on the assumption that the site of the project will be Challenger Street Reserve. This presents a deceptive consultation, a catch-22, in which most of the questions in relation to the project are of a fait accompli, a foregone conclusion. This demonstrates elsewhere there is a huge range of significant concerns about Challenger Street Reserve site, and yet it appears that they have not been acknowledged or addressed at all. Would Council be willing to restart the community consultation with an authentic focus to ascertain the most appropriate site for the community facility, taking into account all concerns about possible loss of valuable Challenger Street Reserve? Full public consultation for this project is not yet complete. Council's recent community consultation focused on specific elements of the proposed park. This information will be used to finalise preliminary designs to support a planning permit application next year. The planning permit application will include council advertising the project where the community will be invited to make a submission, either as a written objection or a letter of support on the more detailed proposal. Question 2. In relation to the possible sites for the BMX facility, the Allan Marshall Reserve was one of the original lists of 7 alternatives. Council is currently seeking feedback on the future of Allan Marshall Reserve. This is a multi-use public space with great potential. where the BMX facility would be a huge community asset. I understand that the reserve was rejected simply because it was not in Diamond Creek. However, it is close to Diamond Creek and would have many merits for this project, and none of the concerns of the Challenger Street Reserve has. In view of the fact that there are already so many facilities in Diamond Creek Reserve, why has the council not considered Allan Marshall Reserve for this project? Following issues with the original project at 145 Allendale Road, council officers assessed the alternative location against key requirements to ensure that the project still responded to the removal of nearby informal community jumps. The criteria for the site selection included located within Diamond Creek, close to existing informal community-built jumps. In response to lessons learned from planning work completing the original project location, the following site criteria was added. Outside the 1 in 100 metre floodplain, Melbourne water requirement, outside the 200 metre cultural heritage and sensitivity buffers to avoid the need for a cultural heritage management plan. Only one council owned and managed site met all 4 criteria. As a result of the May 2025 council meeting, council endorsed Challenger Street Reserve as the new location. So thanks very much to all the questions. I hope that they've been answered there. Thank you. We will now move on to the reports of the advisory committees. Yes, we will. Reports of the advisory committees. Do I have a mover? Councillor Perkins.
Thank you. Yes, I'll move that council notes the minutes of the advisory committee meetings reported as per attachment 1.
Thank you, Councillor Perkins. So do I have a seconder? Councillor Cope. Councillor Perkins, you wish to speak to the item?
Yeah, look, it's just, receiving the minutes for the Positive Ageing Advisory Committee held at the Hurstbridge Hub 3rd of October. And, yeah, I believe the minutes are a true and accurate record of that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cope. Any other councillors wish to speak? We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll move on to the council quarterly plan. So the performance report for 2025-2026 first quarter. Do I have a mover for this item? Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'd like to move that council receives and notes the council plan quarterly performance report for the first quarter of 2025 to 2029 per attachment 1.
Do I have a seconder for this? Councillor Joyner. Councillor Joy.
Thank you. Yeah, just a few points to highlight from the report on this one. So the Council Plan 25-29 was developed throughout 2025 and adopted by this Council at the September 2025 Council meeting. The Attachment 1 provides a summary of the progress of 35 quarterly actions in the annual action plan that links to the 4-year strategy. Of the 35 actions, 34 actions are on track already, which is, really great to see with just developing a new plan and being able to have so much traction with these priorities. And it's worth noting as well that the one that's not quite on track yet is associated with some issues to do with the state government and their review of planning reform, which is inhibiting our progress with our housing strategy. So I won't go through all of the points, and they are in the report for anyone who wants to follow along. But some of the key ones that I was particularly pleased about is that planning has commenced for the next annual calendar of educational and social sessions through our living and learning hubs, and that's also in line with the health and wellbeing plan that's recently been developed and adopted. Another important one that I was advocating for as part of our planning process is the footpath prioritisation policy, which is being amended and updated. So that will help us to identify and prioritise footpaths that are needed across the Shire, and one that I'm particularly enthusiastic about is trying, to get a bit of a sealed path on at least part of the old Diamond Creek Road to improve safety in that area. Another really good action that's underway already is that 85% of schools in Nillumbik have been assessed with a view to identify and prioritise traffic safety improvements. So again, a really important pedestrian safety initiative there. The Domestic Animal Management Plan was endorsed by Council in September, and this was quite a complex and controversial plan as well. So great work to the team in progressing that, and councillors, I think, in the chamber, we ended up with a pretty good decision on that one. In the green space, we're doing some good work with implementation of actions in the council's biodiversity strategy, including assessment of vegetation condition across 33 council bushland reserves, so some great work there, and also implementation of the council's climate action plan continued, including adding the major upgrade of the operations centre's energy infrastructure, reducing our own energy costs and emissions is a good thing there. The report does say that a draft feasibility study for the new section of trail, for which I've been advocating along with other councillors, that will link our Diamond Creek Trail to the Plenty River Trail. The report says a draft feasibility study has been completed. That's actually just a couple of words missing. I believe officers have completed preliminary work to engage someone to do the feasibility study, but even that is great and positive progress. Finally, you may have seen, residents may have seen a lot of trees, new plantings popping up, and not just little saplings, some pretty decent sized trees, and that's come from some funding via North East Link. So overall, lots of great examples there of progression of work from our new council plan that's only just been adopted in the past few months. So congratulations to officers who supported us through that process and getting started on delivering this work. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Joy. Councillor Joyner.
Thanks, Mayor. It's great to see the progress of the first quarter of our council plan. We've all spoken on our favourite parts of the plan over the last few months, but I'd like to call out a few highlights of the first quarter. 85% of schools in Nillumbik have been assessed with a view to identify and prioritise traffic and safety improvements for future capital works delivery. This is great news that this review is near completion. I've been raising traffic and safety concerns of Wattle Glen Primary School and Doreen Primary School, and I'm hoping that they'll be on the list to allow students to arrive and depart from their schools safely. Another one was commenced development of a road safety strategy to prioritise improvements for safety, accessibility and connectivity across the Shire. Again, I've been working with officers to identify road hazards, especially in Hurstbridge, and I hope to see improvements rolled out in these hotspots. Another one was council advocated to the state government MRPV for the inclusion of virtual fencing as part of the Onion Road stage duplication. This is an item that Councillor Cope and myself have been raising, as our wards are the most affected by wildlife being hit on our roads. So I'm thankful that Frank and his team are trying to progress the idea of virtual fencing in Nillumbik and have advocated to the state government to include this as part of the Yan Yan Road duplication. And finally, 17.8% of programmed capital works are complete, which includes the Panton Hill tennis courts upgrade. I was up at the new resurfaced courts just last week. On a side note, it was actually whilst I was up there at the On the Hill Festival up in Panton Hill, which was amazing and great to see the community coming together. But back to the courts, it was great to hear that the tennis club is now able to use the new courts, having used a personal court of a tennis club member for the last few years while the courts were unplayable. They now also have line markings to be able to play pickleball on, so it's an even more inclusive tennis club than ever before. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Joy. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Brooker.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a significant report in that it is the first update on the 25-26 Annual Action Plan, which is the first reporting on the 24-24 Council's plan. As has been noted, on track on a number of items. The housing strategy is the big question mark when we're going to be speaking to the state government planning reforms later this evening. I would also say the urban tree canopy, when you read the report, needs a larger budget allocation. And that's somewhat trite to say because you should also accompany that comment with which element of the budget needs a reduced allocation if you think one particular item needs an increased one. That's for another day. Look, one of the areas in the report, the actions, deliver inclusive educational programs with partnerships across community facilities and so on. So educational programs is what the council are doing. And the commentary was the community development team delivered the 2025 Nillumbik Leaders Community Leadership Program with 13 participants engaged. Well, I dropped into the graduation ceremony of that leadership community program, and it was really quite palpable, the positivity in the room of those people that had gone through that process. They all had learnt an enormous amount, and all you could see were all professed to be much more confident in their capacity to step out into the community in various kind of leadership roles. And that was very encouraging to hear, but was also kind of thing you think deliver educational programs, is this a little bit remote from council's core activities? I happened to speak to one of the graduates of the program who's had many years involvement in the Eltham Wildcats basketball club with her children participating, but never been involved in the administration, never felt confident to step forward to be in that kind of leadership position. Well, since doing the course, the annual general meeting of the Eltham Wildcats basketball club took place, and this particular graduate nominated for the committee of the Eltham Wildcats and has been appointed to the committee by the members of the basketball club. So that's just, I think, a good example of how delivering these educational programs can have some tangible benefits to the running and the administration of our community sporting clubs. The Eltham Wildcats, for people who don't know, I think has got something like 4,500 members. It's got a full-time CEO. There's a number of governance kind of considerations that come with that. So it was certainly, I think, gratifying to hear that there was this pathway for a graduate of the Nillumbik Leaders Program. That was all. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Mackay.
Thank you. I will not rehash all the work that my other councillors have highlighted. I just wanted to note that we have assessed 58 playgrounds to determine the suitability of access for all members of the community so that we can ensure that all of our kids are looked after and able to access a playground. And also a shout out to the Climate Action Hub at the Edendale Community Farm. They've run 3 repair cafes and they've been reducing waste to landfill. Over 3,500 students have participated in environmental education, and we have sold over 22,000 Indigenous plants to support local biodiversity. So big shout out to the heavy lifting of Edendale Farm. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay. Any other councillors wish to speak? In that case, we'll put it to a vote. All of those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to, we'll continue on with officer reports. So we'll look at the Yarra Plenty Regional Library Service Meeting Procedure, Local Law 2025. Do I have a mover for this item?
I would like to move the motion as per the papers.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Perkins. Councillor Brooker.
Thank you, Mayor. This resolution seeks to ratify the meeting procedures for the YPRL. The YPRL cannot change its meeting procedures until all member councils have ratified the change, which we will hopefully do this evening. These updated meeting procedures have to straddle the two Local Government Acts of 1989, which was the old one, and 2020, the new one. I would say that public submissions were to be considered on the 23rd of October at the YPRL board meeting. There were no public submissions at the meeting. So the laws have been updated. In one area that has provided some clarification, I think, compared to the old laws, is Law 6, the quorum. 6.1 makes clear that there is no quorum unless one representatives from each of the councils is participating either in person or electronically. This means that the YPRL cannot pass a motion without at least one board member or proxy being present. And so the result of that is there is no single council can claim that they were somehow excluded from the decision-making process because Clause 6.1 prevents that from happening. So that was a clarification on the local law for the YPRL. That was all. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Councillor Perkins, do you wish to speak? Any other councillors wish to speak? In that case, we'll put it to the vote. All of those in favour? We'll now move on to the second item for the Yarra Plenty Regional Library Service, Supplemental Agreement for 2025. Do I have a mover for this? Councillor Brooker.
I would like to move the motion as per the papers.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Perkins. Councillor Brooker, do you wish to speak to this item?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I do. Look, this, as opposed to the meeting rules we have just ratified, is the supplemental agreement between the member councils of the YPRL that is supplemental to the primary agreement that dates back to 1995. That primary agreement has been amended in 2010, 2015 and 2020, and now, if this proceeds, in 2025. Our options are to continue to be part of the YPRL or give 12 months notice and inform them in writing we wish to leave, and that has implications in that, one, we would have to take over the library service delivery ourselves, and two, pay out redundancy payments to all Nillumbik branch library staff as we would be terminating their employment with YPRL. And unless you could obtain an exemption of some kind in the enterprise bargaining agreement, that is what would happen. All that said, I think the critical question is the YPRL delivering an efficient, cost-effective library service to the residents of Nillumbik? Here it is worth having a look at what the Victoria Auditor General said in their examination into libraries in 2019. It said regional library corporations, that is the YPRL, are more efficient than standalone council libraries because their longer opening hours and higher volume of loans offset their larger investments. I think there are many, many other benefits of regional library services, but the Auditor General identified those. Now, there are pages and pages of suggested improvements of aligning library plans with community expectations, better measurements, and so it goes. Since that time, in further seeking to expand its digital offering and collections, the YPRL has partnered with Whitehorse Manningham and your library to offer Boo Book Digital Library, again combining the resources of the 3 library members to deliver a more cost-effective digital service of over 100,000 e-books, and further reinforcing the benefits of a shared library service and maximising value for residents. Just a fun fact, Boo Book is named after the Australian southern Boo Book owl, which is common in the participating library regions. So this supplemental agreement is a good deal for Nillumbik in aggregating, spreading the costs, allowing collaboration on new ideas, innovations, and keeping us relevant and connected to our community. Part of the supplemental agreement is we have a rotating chair. The timetable is listed at Annexure B. In Annexure C, the cost apportionment model is described. And I just want to speak briefly here. The central point is that each council contributes in proportion to the use made of each branch library by its residents. Now that's kind of a complicated sentence, and the methodology of apportionment is quite complicated as well. But just by way of example, if Banyule or Whittlesea residents who use Nillumbik libraries for loans, for programs, for computer and Wi-Fi sessions, they do not do so for free. Nillumbik do not pick up 100% of the running costs of our libraries, because Banyule and Whittlesea residents, when they use our libraries, do pay for that. And this exchange of costs is to try and ensure a fair distribution of expenses. And the situation also, of course, works in reverse. In the example of the library nearest us, Diamond Valley, the cost apportionment means the city of Banyule most likely pick up some of its costs because Banyule residents across the bridge there are members of the Diamond Valley Library. So the important part about that is that saves Banyule a lot of money in that they don't have to build, staff or resource a library in Greensborough, which their population would justify one. So they share that library service with us, and the cost apportionment is thereby done. By way of analogy, and I'm not sure how relevant it is, but it's kind of like everyone pays for leisure centres and swimming pools, whether they're in Nillumbik, our residents pay, as do the residents of Banyule and Whittlesea. And it's thus the same for the library service. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Joyner.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd just like to congratulate Councillor Brooker on all his work as chair of the Yarra Plenty Regional Library Committee. It was a tough year to chair that, and he put in an incredible amount of work, and thank you from all of us for that. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Any other councillors wish to speak? In that case, we'll put it to the vote. All of those in favour? We'll now move on to... Sorry? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to Neighbourhood Safer Places, the annual update. Do I have a mover for this item? Councillor Perkins.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move that Council notes as part of the annual review process, the Neighbourhood Safer Places or Bushfire Places of Last Resort, located at Diamond Hills Reserve Oval in Greensborough, Currett Park, Greensborough, Diamond Creek Community Centre, Diamond Creek, Yarrambat Golf Course, Club Rooms, Yarrambat, Hurstbridge Basketball Stadium, Hurstbridge, car park between Arthur and Dudley Streets, Eltham and Colladania Reserve, Greensborough. They've all been assessed by the Country Fire Authority and have been confirmed to meet the criteria for designation as Neighbourhood Safer Places, Bushfire Places of Last Resort.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. Do I have a seconder for that motion?
Thank you. I'll second that, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mackay. Councillor Perkins, did you wish to speak?
Yeah, these Neighbourhood Safer Places really haven't changed for many, many years, I believe. The only change we've seen in the last 12 months is probably the naming of what used to be called the Outdoor Performance Centre. So that's now known as Currett Park. So Council resolved to give that park a name, and it's now called Currett Park. So what was previously listed as the Outdoor Performance Centre is now, the whole area is Currett Park. But just a couple of things we should know about neighbourhood safer places is these locations do not guarantee your safety. It's unlikely that emergency service personnel will be present. These locations are places of last resort when all other bushfire plans have failed. Further, your safety and survival at one of these locations is not guaranteed. It may be that your home or one of your neighbours' homes offers better protection than a neighbourhood safer place. These locations may provide some protection from direct flame or heat from a fire, but they do not guarantee safety or protection from smoke or embers. Travelling to a neighbourhood safer place, if your bushfire plans have failed, can be extremely dangerous if it's more than a few minutes away. And finally, there are no guarantees of assistance and no facilities available for people with special needs, including those requiring medical attention. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Perkins. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Mackay.
Thank you. A report with quite a sobering lens, knowing that Nillumbik is one of the most bushfire-prone regions in the world. So, yes, I just wanted to slightly echo but hone down that these are identified spaces that the community may afford some protection from radiant heat only, and they are a place of last resort. And they cannot guarantee safety of injury or loss, and that the CFA advises that they have a written bushfire survival plan, and that this would be right at the end of those options for individuals in Nillumbik. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mackay. Councillor Brooker.
Thank you, Mayor. One of my many wishes for the Mayor that's going to be elected tomorrow night is that we get through the 25-26 bushfire season without a bushfire. But wishing for it is the absolute worst, potentially catastrophic thinking that you can have. As local government, we cannot wish for it, and neither can our residents. We must take all practical steps to mitigate the risks to our lives and to our family lives. And the first thing to do, as has been mentioned, is your own personal bushfire plan and awareness of the catastrophic Code Red days and extreme fire danger days and your responses to those triggers. I've spoken about this 12 months ago, and it just reiterated for me again this year, attending the Fire Service Expo, an event we put on for the community some months ago to showcase a number of groups within Nillumbik that are dedicated to fire prevention, fire preparation and preparedness. It has been, the case, the CFA advice is to leave early. The implications of that is you have to have a place to go and a means of getting there. So to emphasise again, wait and see is not the advice of the CFA, although it unfortunately becomes the default position of too many. So that bushfire plan, it's documented in many areas, but copies of all those important documents, licences, passports, we can have digital copies now on our phones and so on, and that is what you should do. So when a catastrophic event happens, you're not panicking. You're prepared as best you can be for that eventuality. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll now move on to the tender report for contract 2425070, tree pruning and other associated services. Do I have a mover for this item?
Thank you. I'll move that, Mayor.
Councillor Mackay.
I'd like to move this as per the papers, please.
Thank you. Could I get a seconder for that item? Councillor Joy. Councillor Mackay.
Thank you very much. So this is a contract that we are looking at for a period of 5 years with 2 one-year options to add on. So this will not extend 7 years. So we currently engage contractors for tree works, and this includes an all manner of things. So this is reactive tree work such as tree pruning and removal works resulting from customer service. Also, stump grinding is reactive, and our proactive programs include fire prevention, hazard tree inspection on priority roads, and box clearance on priority roads, box clearance on other roads, high use site tree work program, electric line clearing, and live line pruning. So I just wanted to thank Heath and his team, David and Andrew. This has been in the mix for about 18 months. They've been working on this very hard, and we've got contractors that we believe and have shown that they are specialists for sensitive areas and look after our biodiversity in Nillumbik. And we've got wonderful contract relations for our storm events, seen most recently in the last couple of years, very quick cleanups, and we're happy to have those great relationships there. And I just wanted to shout out, this was a very navigating this contract with considerations to insurance and also keeping this as a financially viable activity for the council to have. And just to confirm that the tenderers have demonstrated they have sufficient experienced staff to undertake the works, and they've all got the required insurances as well. So that's all I have to say on that.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay. Councillor Joy? Any other councillors wish to speak? In that case, we'll put it to the vote. All of those in favour? Carried unanimously. We'll move on to...
I'll just read that out.
Sorry.
Sorry. So resolve that council accept the tenders submitted by the preferred tenderers: Active Tree Services, Leaf and Limb, Prestige Pruning, Reynolds Tree Care, Tree Serve, Stevens Specialist Tree Services, for the schedule of rates disclosed in Attachment 1 and the lump sum for electrical line clearance as disclosed also in Attachment 1, and enter into the following contract number 2425070, Tree Pruning and Associated, from the 20th of January 2026 up to potentially the 19th of January 2031, with term extensions of 1 year at a time up to the 19th of January. And we authorise the COO to finalise and execute the contract documentation.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay.
One more page there. I might do the rest as per the papers. Okay. Great. Done. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move on to informal meetings of councillor records. So do I have a mover for this item? Councillor Joyner.
Yes, thanks. I move the motion that Council, in accordance with item 20 of Council's Governance Rule Meeting Procedures, receives the informal meetings of councillor records Attachment 1 for the meetings held.
And a seconder? Councillor Cope. Councillor Joyner, do you wish to speak to the item? Councillor Cope? Any other councillors?
I'll outline that we had a briefing on the 21st, a council meeting with a pre-meet on the 28th of October, another briefing on the 5th of November, and a PCC pre-meet on the 11th of November.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay. We'll take a vote on that. All of those in favour? Carried unanimously. We have no notices of motion. Do we have any delegates' reports? Councillor Brooker.
Yes, I just got a verbal delegates report. The YPRL has been given quite a good go tonight. So just As the chair of the board, we're coming to the end of the year, and I want to thank Councillor Joyner for those generous words. But today, the new CEO of the YPRL commenced employment, which was obviously a significant milestone in the history of the YPRL. Our previous CEO had been there for 7 years. So Nicole Rudden, who is a resident of Nillumbik, is now the CEO of the YPRL. I found out today that she is in Swipers Gully ward, so she, so you can make that what you will. But just maybe to share the process, the Employment Matters Subcommittee had to go through a recruitment process for the YPRL, and maybe it's of some interest to people, but what we decided to do when we were appointing to the CEO is asked ourselves, you know, what is we were looking for, and it was a values-based people culture was a kind of significant thing we wanted. So the question is, well, what are the YPRL values? And that included, amongst other things, inclusion, that it was for all members of our community. I have to say that behave appropriately. Values of teamwork and collaboration, of literacy and learning, coupled with lifelong education, the 3 Ls as we refer to them, of consistent reaching, which was consistent with those learning types of values we thought were important, and someone who had valued new ideas and innovation as part of stretching the organisation. And we were very clear to the recruitment consultant that we would not be selecting the best available candidate. We would be selecting the best candidate and the best fit for that position. If we went through the process and we did not identify that person, we would be going through that process again. So it was very important to find, you know, the best person for the job. And we did that. So Nicole Rudden starts today. I think she's going to really do some incredible things for YPRL, and I look forward to this space, and I'm very much looking forward to ending my year as chair of the board. Someone said, "How's it? You know, has it seemed a long year?" I said, "It certainly has seemed that way." So the board rotates to the city of Banyule next year. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Brooker. Do we need to accept that? No. We'll now move on to supplementary and urgent business. I believe we do have an item, so can we have a mover that we could accept that item?
Yes, thanks.
Councillor Joyner, seconder? Sorry, Councillor Joyner.
Move that Council, in accordance with Clause 57 of the Governance Rule Meeting Procedures, admit the item of urgent business relating to call for parliamentary inquiry into the State Government's planning amendment, Better Decisions Made Faster, Bill 2025.
And a seconder, Councillor Perkins. Councillor Joyner, do you wish to speak to the item? Councillor Perkins? Any other councillors? We'll take a vote. Carried unanimously, so we'll now admit the item. Do I have a mover for this motion?
I would like to move the motion, Mayor.
Councillor Brooker.
Thank you. I'll read this out as it is an urgent item and has not been circulated previously. So our recommendation that Council 1 recommends a full public inquiry into the planning amendment, Better Decisions Made Faster Bill 2025. 2, supports the Municipal Association of Victoria, MAV, local government position, Planning Amendment Bill 2025 report in response to this bill, acknowledging that A, full review of the bill has yet to be made by Council or the MAV. B, the MAV report has highlighted some significant issues for local councils and our communities. C, there has not been sufficient time for Council to receive and adopt a formal position given the limited time frame of the proposed bill. Recommendation 3, that the Council has written to the Planning Minister the Honourable Sonia Kilkenny, and members of the Legislative Assembly and Legislative Council, the Honourable Vicky Ward MP, the Honourable Anthony Carbines MP, the Honourable Colin Brooks MP, Lauren Carthage, Cindy McLeish, Nicole Werner, Sean Leanne, Richard Welsh, Sonia Terpstra, Nick McGowan, A.V. Puglali, the Honourable Jacqueline Symes, the Honourable Wendy Lovell, Mrs. Galel Broad, Ms. Ricky Lee Terrell, Ms. Georgie Purcell, Mr. Richard Royderden, Ms. Bev MacArthur, Ms. Ellen Sandel, Dr. Sarah Mansfield, and Mr. David Ettershank, advising Council's position and to request they support the MA position and a public inquiry.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Do I have a seconder for that?
I'll second that, thanks.
Councillor Joyner. Councillor Brooker.
Okay, look, so we're really wanting a public inquiry into this bill. That is our message this evening. But I think it's a worthwhile question is to ask, how did we get here today? How did we get to the point of multiple announcements over multiple years, culminating in this piece of legislation, better decisions made faster, or as I have described it, worse decisions with unintended consequences bill? You can Google the Grattan Institute 2018 report if you're at home, or even if you are here in the chamber. In this 2018 report is the policy prescription for the announcements, not the consultation, but the announcements that have been made over the last few years. The Grattan Institute's paper is to focus on affordability, and that has been underpinning the government approach over the last few years. And that is, if you can increase the supply of housing at a large scale, you can influence the prices of housing, making that word affordable your keystone. I will leave aside the always unspoken flip side of that coin, that all homeowners would probably be aghast if the value of their properties became more affordable. But the problem is that the Grattan Institute lists 13 recommendations to address this issue of affordability, planning issues being just 2 of them. Some of them are beyond the remit of the state government. One of them, for instance, limit negative gearing and reduce the capital gains tax discount. This highlights one of the many complexities in this space and illustrates by taking a piecemeal, cherry-picking type approach, you are unlikely to be able to consider the overarching problem of affordability. Quoting from the report, recommendation 6, greater density in inner and middle ring suburbs. Infill projects should not require development approvals and be code assessed. More dense development should be allowed as of right along key transport corridors. The Commonwealth to provide incentives to states to revise planning policies to permit greater density and increased supply. Sound familiar? Look, recommendation 7, state government should set housing targets and make sure local governments meet them. We use carrots and sticks to ensure council meet their housing targets. Well, in our context, there has been many carrots, but certainly, or not many carrots, but certainly the stick of removing local planning decisions has certainly been canvassed publicly. In the body of the report, it states there is a strong emphasis on maintaining neighbourhood character in Melbourne suburbs. In practice, planning restrictions significantly increase delays and uncertainty in development, either precluding it altogether or increasing its costs. So what I conclude is that the government have definitely drunk the Kool-Aid of this report. Many of the announcements that we have witnessed in the last several years have spoken about planning in a pejorative way. It's talked about increased housing supply, and this is being restricted because of a moribund practices of council planning departments. The solution put forward in this bill is to remove councils from this process under this deemed to comply regimen, or remove altogether notification and third-party appeal rights of objectors to housing proposals? Well, my argument is twofold. Outsourcing your policy development to a think tank is not a solid, robust process in developing policy, particularly so if you do not look at the whole issue holistically and just pick out some areas. Two, economists are not too concerned with micro effects of their policy prescriptions. But here's the problem, and there's really not getting any, you can't really get away from this. I live where the micro effects will be felt. The impacts of greater density, greater car usage, more congestion, reduced livability, without even talking about all of the increased infrastructure that local governments have to pay for, be it parks, playgrounds, libraries, and so on, are not considered. So what we really have to be is the word THIMBY. Thoughtfully in my backyard has got to be the standard. A THIMBY, should be the standard of Nillumbik, and that should be the standard given to the state government. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Anyone else wish to speak on this item?
Yes, thanks.
Councillor Joyner.
Thank you to the Municipal Association of Victoria, the MAV, for their work on this concerning bill that was introduced into Parliament recently. Concerning not because we feel a more efficient planning system is not needed, but concerning because local government are the level of government that are responsible for implementing the system. The consultation with the sector didn't happen. Local government have ample insight and experience that the state government could have drawn on, and it's unfortunate that that was not taken advantage of. Council's concerns are in the officer report, but I'd like to note the MAV's main concerns. Rezoning 60 activity centres for higher density development without any requirement for affordable housing, winding back community notice provisions that help ensure quality decisions grounded in local knowledge, the speed at the expense of good outcomes. As Victoria faces growing climate risks, with 1 in 4 regional properties projected to be uninsurable by 2030, we need homes that are resilient, affordable and built in the right places. So I will be voting for Council to support the MAV's position on this matter.
Thank you, Councillor Joyner. Councillor Perkins.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'll certainly be supporting the motion, and also don't want to give anyone in the room any ideas. I thought I'd read out the MAV position. It's a one-pager and it's very big words, but it won't take me long to go through it. Public trust in planning matters. When you overlook environmental risks, abolish the right to know about proposals, remove parliamentary oversight, and demand impossible approval timelines, communities lose confidence that the right decisions are being made. We are not going to build community support for rapid housing growth this way. Victoria's 79 councils strongly support reforming the planning system to make it more efficient and approve more homes. We don't support cutting corners that will eliminate public trust and create expensive problems for the next generation. If this bill is going to produce the better decisions it promises, it must be improved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Perkins. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor McKay.
Just wanted to outline a few more concerns that I think are shared by my colleagues. That so this is a proposed change. Concerns that a new one-size-fits-all residential code require decision makers to disregard known flood, bushfire, erosion and land contamination risks. There's going to be a lack of mechanisms for affordable and social housing. Isn't this the whole point? That we can have people in affordable and social housing, 60 activity centres to be gazetted without any specific requirement or numerical standard which outlines a minimum proportion for social and affordable housing. And shockingly, the removal of environmentally sustained design from planning considerations. All this hard work that we've been doing over the years, just eradicated. So key themes that MAV as our collective body have done was big change needs public trust, homes ready for the extremes to come, a missed opportunity for affordable housing and wanting better outcomes. And I think once you start reading into it, we know that planning approvals are not the hold-up here. So as of a couple of years ago, there were 120,000 houses, townhouses and apartments that had been given planning approval but hadn't even commenced construction. And this is equivalent to a size to the size of Greater Geelong. So we've got plans that are approved that can't be built. Why is that? Blowout of construction costs. There's no incentive for the developer. People aren't going to be able to afford these houses that are built anyway. So there's many other mechanisms, and it's just has a bit of a stunt feel about it. I think it just makes no sense to criticise councils for low number of approvals when fewer applications are being lodged and only 3% of those that are lodged in the end get refused. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Mackay. Any other councillors wish to speak? Okay, in that case, we'll put it to the vote. All of those in favour? Carried unanimously. We have no confidential reports, and I therefore call the meeting closed at 8:32. We don't take questions at council meetings, but thank you. No offence taken. I know the feeling. I got in from Perth at 6 o'clock this morning.